All right, we can start recording, Miss Griffin.
We are recording now.
Make sure I've got everybody here. Good afternoon and happy Friday, as I call it. So glad to see everybody. We've got about 17 participants on today, and we also have some new faces to our meetings on Fridays. But again, this is our parent town hall to make sure that we are informing you of our procedures and processes for reentry in our building. Today, we have present Mr. Bolton, our Director of Operations, Mrs. Meredith, our K-5 Academy Leader, Ms. Griffith, Administrative Assistant, and Nursery, who is our amazing school nurse with no picture. So hello, Nursery. All right, so I'll go ahead and get started. So today, again, as we always do, we will discuss the current COVID infection rates and CDC guidelines, as well as updates from questions of last town hall meeting. We didn't have a lot. We corrected the ones that we had from before, but if there are some that we need to follow up on, we'll do that today. Just some procedures for reentry, and I would, Ms. Meredith and myself will kind of talk about synonymous instruction. That's another new word for this space that we're in, as well as the expectations in physical education and dance, sanitizing and cleaning, and the after-school programs. We'll have a question and answer session, as well as some next steps. So our numbers, as you can see, based on February 3rd, which was Wednesday, our numbers are going down. Remember, we were like, I think almost 800 or more last week. Well, the week before, last week we were at 600. So the numbers are going down, which is good. We are flattening the curve. So I'm excited about that. And of course, we want to make sure that those numbers are below 100 before students enter the building, 100 or below. All right, and again, here's our guidance. Of course, the level of spread, substantial spread, minimal, moderate, and low to no spread. This is the guidance that we use from the Georgia Department of Education. And again, we're in phase 3. We have our teachers. There was a change. Our teachers will be coming back after the 19th. And then phase 4, we are slated to have our scholars back in the building by March 1st. Again, that is going to depend on our numbers and where we are. So I want to make sure that we consistently say that, and that has been our story consistently as we've discussed reentry. All right, so Ms. Meredith, if you can talk about our synchronous classroom instruction with Lower Academy, and I'll talk about Upper Academy, and Ms. Green is out, so I'm gonna do that for her, okay? All right, Ms. Meredith.
Good afternoon, parents, and welcome to the Town Hall. My name is Polita Meredith, and I am the Academy Leader for our Lower Academy. So what does synonymous instruction look like for our Lower Academy scholars? We want to remember that we will maintain a momentum of teaching and learning, although some of our scholars will be attending virtually and some will be attending face-to-face. Teaching and learning does not stop. So I want to reiterate that. Whatever you choose to have your scholar participate in. The grading practices will remain the same virtually as well as face-to-face. We still will adhere to, for our K through 2 scholars, they will continue with the standards-based grading. And our 3rd through 5th grade scholars will also receive their numerical grades. The instructional day will begin at 8:00 a.m. and end at 2:55 for all scholars, whatever you decide to participate in. There will be a balance of active class participation. So when I say that, we still want our scholars to ask and answer questions. If my scholars are in the building face-to-face, they will receive the same instruction that the scholars are receiving virtually, there will be a balance, and we want to ensure everybody is participating 110%. We want our scholars coming prepared and ready to learn each and every day. In order to do so, they must have their laptops and all supplies for their classes. That's inclusive of colored pencils, calculators. They have their novels. We want to make sure they're bringing those each and every day when they're participating face-to-face, because we cannot share any supplies due to the COVID-19 restrictions. Our K-1 scholars, as you know, right now, they have whole group instruction from 8 o'clock to 1:15 daily. And then we break off at 1:30 to 2:55 for small group instruction that is by invite only. We will continue with that when we start our synonymous instruction. Virtual office hours, which is also academic support for the scholars, will be provided by the teacher, and the times will vary. Once we start this synonymous instruction, the teachers will provide you with that information. Our instructional cycle is what it is. So our teachers start out where they're delivering the content in their area. They do a practice session together, and then we allow for the scholars to participate in independent practice. And then, of course, we require the scholars to submit their assignments electronically. And when the scholars are in the building, they will also be submitting assignments electronically. The norms and clear expectations will be set forth by the teacher, and notice they will be reinforced daily regardless of your option, whether it's virtual or face-to-face. The physical arrangement of the classroom. So our K-2 scholars, I have opted for them to have tables, and we don't want more than 4 scholars at a table, and they will remain 6 feet apart. For our 3 through 5 scholars, they will have assigned desks, and there will be no more than 10 scholars per class. And then if you notice in red, each teacher will have a tablet that will allow for viewing in each classroom for virtual learners. That is an integral part of this synonymous instruction, and we want to ensure that the teacher is able to view all of the scholars, whether they are participating virtually or face-to-face. And last but not least, our scholars must be on time for class. They have to be prepared and ready to learn, because the teacher cannot stop their flow of instruction during that time. It will hinder all scholars, whether they're participating whether they're participating virtually or face-to-face. So keep that in mind. 8 is late, and we want to beat the host there. So make sure the scholars are there at 7:55 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Meredith. So I'm going to tackle Ms. Green's slides for you, and it's similar to what the Lower Academy is doing. Of course, scholars who are virtual, when we return, possibly on March 1st, make sure that they join the class at their regularly scheduled time. The teachers will have a tablet in their classroom that will be mounted on a snake-like device that will hold that, so you can see the entire class. They won't be using their laptops for that. And the challenge, when we think about this, teachers having to go to that laptop, that actual tablet to let students in. So that's why we want to make sure that people are in class on time. I know we threw another word out there to use, synonymous teaching, but that is something new during this virtual learning experience. When we say synonymous, the root word is synonym, at the same time, or two of the same. So that's what's happening. Teachers will be face-to-face with their scholars, as well as teaching students that are in the class at home. So that's why you have synonymous teaching. So imagine the frustration as well as the challenge it could be with trying to go and click students in and trying to make sure that they get their questions asked from home. So we just want to ask that our parents make sure that the scholars are in their classes on time. Also, in middle school, they will not be using paper. They will need to make sure that we will provide them with paper. They need to make sure that they have pencils and pens. And when they submit, they can bring paper, but that's for their scratch work, but we can provide that as well. But we want to make sure that they understand that a lot of their work will be done electronically, and they will be submitting lessons electronically. Also, due to state safety, our scholars will not share or use manipulatives in the math class. So they will have to, everybody will get their own set of manipulatives, and that will be done in the math classes. And the same thing when we're doing experiments, they'll get their own information or supplies. Also, the lesson is going to be the same way that you see it during the regular classroom time virtually. They'll have an opening mini lesson, the practice closing, and they'll have homework. I cannot stress it enough to make sure that your scholars are on iReady and they are working through iReady at least 3 times a week at 45 minutes each time they are on iReady. Also, in middle school, the scholars will be assigned seats, and they will not be allowed to get out of their seats to make sure that they are practicing social distancing and for contact tracing purposes. Assignments again will be submitted electronically, and there will be those same virtual office hours as well as the academic supports provided by the teacher. Let me see. All right, so when we talk about PE and dance, right, you know, those are our large classes. So we're making some changes with that. The scholars in PE are going to be spaced out more. Remember, we'll be able to utilize the entire gym because scholars will be eating in their classrooms. Hopefully, if you were at that second town hall meeting, you understood that we'll be doing grab and go lunches and breakfast. They will not need to change clothes for PE as long as they have sneakers on. We want to make sure that they have their sneakers, not the church shoes. And if they do have those, make sure that they bring their sneakers so that they can change into that. Also, if a scholar wears a khaki skirt on the day that they come, they need to bring leggings to class. And they will be able to place those leggings on up under their skirts. I do want to stress to you that not changing for class, it won't impact the scholar's participation grade. However, non-participation will. So if a scholar is not participating, that's going to have an impact on our scholars' grades. We want to make sure that we are encouraging our scholars to bring wipes and deodorant to make sure they kind of freshen up. They'll be able to go into the restrooms again, but only 2 at a time. And also with PE, they're going to do more focus on activities around movement and skill building with sports, as opposed to playing basketball across the whole gym, because that becomes a challenge when you're trying to social distance. Same thing with our dance expectations, same thing with PE. They will not have to dress out, but they will be encouraged to bring leggings if they have a skirt, and make sure that they are wearing sneakers. Also, in the dance class this time, when they return, they'll be focusing a lot more on dance theory and music, because we want to make sure that we're spacing our scholars out, and it will not allow for them to be, you know, so close together. We'll be able to do more work that can be submitted electronically, and until our numbers get down. So I want to make sure that we know that ahead of time, and you understand that. Ms. Mills will try her best to do as much as she can with the movement piece, but we do want to make sure that our scholars are spaced out. All right, so we've got sanitization and cleaning, and that is Mr. Bolton.
Good afternoon, everyone. I wanted to briefly go over some of the updates around sanitization and cleaning. Had extensive meetings with our custodial staff and facility supervisor in the last couple of days, kind of going over some of the plans, some of the options that we have, and kind of making a game plan that makes sense for our building. We've got a solution from Clean Republic. It is our primary solution that we'll use for disinfecting It kills 99% of the germs, bacteria, and viruses. Obviously, the virus is the big thing that we're looking to circumvent now. We'll also use electrostatic sprayers. Electrostatic sprayers basically charge the spray as it comes out with an electro charge that basically allows it to grab and adhere to the surfaces that it touches. So if you spray something onto a tabletop or a desktop, if it's electrolyzed, it will capture those things that are on top of the desk a little more effectively than simply just spraying a wet spray on there. It's kind of a newer technology that's developed in this COVID time, and it is kind of the best practice when we're attempting to quickly sanitize areas. We've talked about focusing on the real high touch areas and trying to eliminate some of the high touch areas with some of the engineering things that we're doing. For instance, the touch-free faucets in the bathroom. We're having a pull thing on the inside of the door, so you're not having to pull it with your hand. You can actually pull it with your wrist. We can cut down on a few of those touch points that allow us to kind of clean through our areas, hit all of our checkpoints and checklists, and make sure that everything is clean when we come out of an area. So the doorknobs and handles are obviously a key one. Desktops and chairs where the students are sitting. So the chair, you think about when you come to sit down at your desk, kind of pull it out from the top. And then when you sit down, your hands are on the side. Those are like the 3 areas of a chair where a focus of sanitization will be. The handrails that are in the hallways, the toilets, of course, the bathroom stall latches, the dispensers for paper towels, and then of course the floors where if we were sneezing or things were kind of tracting on our shoes, the floors are obviously a place where all of that stuff can kind of be captured. And so particular attention will be paid to all of those areas, those high touch areas. Next, we also talked about, let me go to the next screen. Thank you. Some additional things to kind of supplement the daily flow. Using those electrostatic sprayers onto the carpets and then shampooing the carpets on a monthly basis will help to keep the carpets kind of clean, nice, smelling good, but also infection free. We've been kind of investigating different partnerships that we can establish with outside vendors that specialize in sanitization, and kind of having those things, having the whole building done on a quarterly basis. And then some things that we all will kind of participate in, right? We're not asking the teachers to become janitors or the students even to become custodial staff, but we all have got to kind of make some cultural changes and play a part in our own safety. So we'll have touch-free hand sanitizers in the hallways. We actually have some of those out, but they'll be placed more strategically. We'll have an emergency kind of mobile sanitizer station. If in fact it was an incident, a spill, an accident, or something that just kind of required an immediate attention, that sanitizer station mobile sanitizer station will be available. We'll have one on each side of the building to address an incident quickly. We'll have sanitizer kits in each classroom. Again, if a student sneezes and we need to do a quick wipe down and not have to wait for the custodian to come from the other side of the building to address it, will allow the teachers and some of the students to kind of play a part, particularly our older students that kind of understand what to do and are able to follow the instructions. And an important thing is kind of keeping those sanitize or wipes and paper towels that are used to sanitize will be thrown in different receptacles than the regular trash receptacles. So again, thinking about if you had to throw away a piece of paper or a paper towel from washing your hands, that would be separate from these receptacles that we would use to sanitize in them. Again, just to keep any cross-contamination from happening, and then again to remove that waste basket in a more safe way and in a quicker way than the regular waste. Based off of the kind of school schedule, bathroom schedule, and just a general school schedule, we will develop a cleaning schedule for the restrooms and common areas so that it makes sense. And when people are coming into the restrooms or coming into the offices and common areas lobby, those areas will be clean. We'll also have day porters that will handle the general custodial duties during the school day, and then an evenings crew that will handle the classroom or office reset to make sure that each classroom is ready for the next day.
All right, so this is my portion. So let's talk a little bit about after school. We are still working with the YMCA. I do know that there will be a cost for the YMCA, but there is a minimum cost if you have caps. What they have told us, they have not had any COVID cases at the YMCA, and they want to make sure they keep it that way. So what they are asking is if we could have a separate cohort. So if children sign up, parents sign up for that cohort, they will stick together and not be in the population that's already at the site. I do encourage you, if you have caps, go ahead and update your information. And there is a daily attendance requirement with the YMCA. And remember, the YMCA is K-4. Unfortunately, we could not get it where it was free and it would be here at the school. That's just something that the YMCA is deciding that they would like to wait to do that. But it will be at the YMCA. We're still talking through that, but I know that there will be a minimal cost. However, if you have free or reduced lunch, or you meet the qualifications for CAPS, go ahead and update your information with CAPS. After school All-Stars, they can sign up with Mr. Watson as well as Ms. Griffith. It will be here at the school. And it'll only be for scholars in grades 5 through 8. That program is free of charge, and there is an ADA requirement. When I say ADA, I mean an average daily attendance. So you would have to come 4 days out of 5, that type of thing, and that will be here in the building as of right now. If scholars do go to the YMCA and they signed up, they will come and pick those scholars up from the building and take them over to the YMCA. So that wouldn't be a problem. As far as the amount, I'm not sure yet. We're still working through those details. We were definitely trying to make sure that we have it here at the school, but they did not want to risk that to have a particular cohort with mixing that, and they needed to make sure they had the right number of teachers for that as well. All right, Nursery, medical information.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Nursery. I'm the school nurse here. I just wanted to give some information on basically the temperature taking. Once the temperatures will be taken inside of the car before the scholar will be permitted into the building. So the temperatures that we're allowed, if it's above 99.5, they will not be permitted into the building. And the person that will be taking their temperature will ask you a series of questions. The questions basically are the COVID-19 symptoms based on the CDC. If that person has a cough, runny nose, fever, chills, headache, sore throat, nausea, vomiting, or diarrhea, fatigue, new loss, taste or smell, or trouble breathing. Now, I know sometimes those symptoms won't show up in the beginning of the day, but during the day, if any of those symptoms come about, the scholar will be asked to be picked up. And I know some people saying about allergies. I know allergies come with runny nose, fatigue, itchy eyes. Sometimes I'm able to decide, to tell the difference between the allergies and the COVID-19 symptoms. But if it's hard for me to tell, I still will ask that parent to pick that child up, just precautions. Upon entering the building, everybody will sanitize their hands. Mandatory mask, that is a big thing. A mask must be worn by staff and all scholars. And it has to be worn the correct way, over your nose and mouth. Parents were also asking that you pack extra masks, and we strongly encourage you to get the lanyards to lock them on around their necks, just because so they won't lose it or drop it on the floor. I talked about before the free thermometers from Fluency. You can still order them. So if you text this number right here, Fluency, to 900, or you can click on that link right there, it'll get you there, and they will actually send the thermometer to the school. And that is all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Go
ahead.
Want me to answer now?
Go ahead.
Okay, and also it was a question in the chat about gloves. I was just wanting everybody to know that gloves spread more germs than anything. So there would be no gloves for scholars or staff to be worn in the building. I mean, hand washing is the best thing to do to prevent any spread of any germs.
And before we get to question and answer, let me kind of talk about our next steps. Schedules for scholars will be developed and made available February 24th. We're actually going through them now and setting up our siblings together so we can make sure that you get that information. And you will receive the days that you will be in the building via your academy leader. They will send that information out to you. Please make sure that your emails are updated in Infinite Campus. Next week, we're going to talk about attendance expectations, such as late check-in, early dismissals, and any absences, what we'll do for that. We'll also discuss scholar uniforms. I know that we touched upon that, but we're going to talk a little bit more about that. And when we say scholar uniforms, that is inclusive of masks. So we want to make sure that you know that as well. We're going to talk about testing. We have some very important information about that. Scholar services, I'm just thinking about 504, student with disabilities, English as second language students, and also silent dismissal. You all are familiar with that, but we're going to give you more information about that as well. I do ask that you join us for our Rock with Dot web chat series. That's where I actually talk to someone, a mover and shaker in the community. It's on Thursdays, the third Thursday of every month at 12 p.m. via Facebook. And that day, we're going to talk about girls and civil rights with the president of the NAACP, the CAB branch, Ms. Teresa Hardy. So I encourage you to please log in, and it's via Facebook. It's only about 15-20 minutes. So I want to go ahead and move to our question and answer period. If our panel can take their mics off mute, and Ms. Griffith will go ahead and read those questions.
Okay, I have a question from Ms. Gage Scott. Will there be constant hand washing for scholars and staff?
Nursery or Mr. Bolton?
Yes, there will be constant hand washing. Actually, what I want to try to do, like set up a period of time, maybe like once an hour, if it's permitted, without interrupting any learning, to just either sanitize or wash your hands.
I would like to kind of get some clarity on that. When
All
you
right,
say
Ms. Dallas, will we still be required to purchase?
Hold on, Ms. Griffith. Hold on. I want to find out, Ms. Gage Scott, when you say constant hand washing, the scholars will have hand sanitizing stations, but what else? I mean, when you say constant hand washing, how do you define constant? That can be something that we can bring at the next town hall meeting. You can type that in the chat and Ms. Griffith will get that for us. Because I'm panelists, I just want to make sure that we know what that constant means, what the expectation is.
Ms. Dallas, will we still be required to purchase silent dismissal numbers?
No, you will not have to purchase the numbers. We'll provide those to you. Every child will have one.
Ms. Walls, will there also be virtual after school available? Is that for after school all-stars? You have a 5th through 8th grader, Ms. Walls? You can respond in just the chat.
And we can get that, we can find out. I'm assuming, Ms. Griffith, they're asking if they'll be doing virtual after school as well as the face-to-face. We can get that we can follow up with After School All-Stars. I think that's something we need to follow up with before we answer that.
Okay. Ms. Gage Scott, we will be discussing the scholars with health challenges next week when we speak when Scholar Services will be on the town hall. If you're having issues logging into Campus Portal, please contact enroll@ivyprepacademy.org, and they will be able to assist you accessing your Infinite Campus. Okay. And Ms. Walls, yes, we'll follow up with you after we reach out to After School All-Stars.
And that question is good for the entire group, Ms. Walls. So we'll probably just bring that up at the next town hall next week.
Okay, parents, do we have any other questions? All right, Ms. Dallas, I understand no outside food, example, fast food is allowed, but will scholars be allowed to bring their own lunch from home? Yes, they will be. Ms. Gage Scott, so that Nursery, this one is for you. Back to the hand washing, the difference between having a cold or a sickness.
I'm not sure what she's asking me.
In regards to hand washing. Well, if the child has a cold, they're gonna have symptoms of a cold, which means that they will not be able to come into the building with symptoms of a cold.
Remember any of those symptoms that we had on the screen? And I can go back to it. Any of those, they won't be able to stay at school. So I want to make sure that we're aware of that. We want to make sure everyone is safe. But right now, we're talking about hybrid learning. This is for the March 1st entry date.
But we have definitely put up enough signs in our bathrooms and our building to encourage our students to practice regular hand hygiene as well as our staff. It's as you walk into the bathroom, there's 5 signs telling you to remember to wash your hands.
And also another thing that I will do once we do the hybrid, I will go to each class personally and have the students to demonstrate again of hand washing.
I keep seeing this orange blinking, Griff. Are we answering those in the chat?
Yeah, we're answering those. I have the chat open.
Okay.
Students will not be allowed to share items. They will have to bring their own items for everything that they use.
We'll get that list to them when they get their schedules, their days of assignment. You'll get a list of supplies so that you'll need to have for your scholars.
And no, we're not passing out papers. All assignments will be submitted electronically.
In middle school, Ms. Griffith.
In middle school, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We are at 12:35, Doc.
Did we finish?
That doesn't look like we have any other questions.
What? We did it in 35 minutes? That's awesome. Please let me know if you have questions. I've written down a few questions that we weren't able to answer directly, and keep those types of questions coming to us. It helps us think through the process. And again, remember, we're going to talk about testing. We'll actually have some updates for you around grading too coming up. Scholar services, 504, special education, all of those we'll be able to discuss next time. I do want to make sure that we let you know for hopefully this one or the one on the 19th, we'll be able to have some pictures around the school so that you can see the work that we've done and it won't be foreign to you. I know that some of our kindergarten parents are going to want to come in the building and bring their babies to us. But of course, we want you to hug and love on them outside. And I promise you there'll be somebody that will be there available to you. I know that we had some parents that asked me about their declaration of intents. We are actually discussing that a little bit more. And it's just something that we're considering in case parents still do not feel comfortable coming back in the building face to face, that April 26th date, looking at a virtual option as well. So we'll give you more information on that. I don't want to even go down that rabbit hole just yet, but I want to let you know that that is on our discussion. I think there was another question, Ms. Griffith, that was in there.
No, it was just a comment. Thank you for being so informative from Ms. Jackson.
Oh, thank you, Ms. Jackson. Please let me know if you have any questions. If there's anything we can help you with. Thanks, I saw Miss Carmelita Jackson and Miss Thomas. Thank you all for coming today, and Dr. Neely, and our teachers are on as well, learning more about what we're doing. So please encourage your friends or other parents that you know, to go through the other videos that we have. And, we want to make sure we're putting this information out there for you, putting the videos out on the website every week. So parents are not uninformed, if that's a word. Ms. Meredith, I hope that's a word.
I hope you all also checked out our new website. The launch was February 1st. Everything's a lot more condensed and cleaner. So please check out our new website, send comments. If there's something that you think needs to change, please let us know.
And we actually have a test run this week. We got about 4 scholars coming in the building to do some testing. So we'll be able to kind of see how everything works. But we've got plenty of cones on the floor and stickers on the walls and all of that good stuff right now. But we want to make sure that we share that with you so you can kind of see the day in the life of a scholar as they come in the building from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. Okay. All right. I think there was one more question in the chat. Oh, got it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Have a good weekend and practice social distancing and wear your mask. Have a good one. Thank you.
Bye.